Gentlemen, welcome back. This video tutorial is for students who are in geometry goal 3. We're going to be looking at some pretty bare bones basics first, getting used to different types of triangles before we start sinking our teeth into the really fun stuff. So let's get started. We're going to zoom down. A lot of this for this first family you should have done already in some kind of uh, initial knowledge check. These are things that you probably already knew in middle school. But having said that, just in case there are different types of triangle you want to keep track of. For example, we can determine the size, or rather the name of an angle based on the angle sizes that they give us. This is a little bit small. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, so you can see over here, if you have, what kind of angle was that again? We need to remember what that was. That's an obtuse angle, which means this is therefore an obtuse triangle. Let's look over here. We have that very specific angle. That is a right angle, which means this is a right triangle. There's no one specific angle to be keep an eye out for here. So instead, what you want to keep in mind is the fact that all of these angles are going to be under 90 degrees, which means these are acute angles. And then this one here is, because of the one big one, going to be an obtuse angle. All right. Over here, 60, 60, 60, that's an acute angle. And if you really want to get technical, since all of the angles are the same, that means it's an equiangular triangle, but we'll get to that in a second. This one, right angle, which means it's a right triangle. Obtuse angle means it's an obtuse triangle. Obtuse angle means it's an obtuse triangle. So there's not a lot of reinventing the wheel here, as it were. But what if now we go by sides? Aha. So now we're going to start getting into some fun stuff. So when we're looking here, you can kind of see that the 7 and the 7 all have the same, the same length, which means two of your sides are the same, which means this is an isosceles triangle. Over here, 10, 6, 6, we again have two numbers that are the same, which means it is isosceles. And here, 9, 9, 9. All three angles are the same, which means all three sides are the same, which means all of the sides are equal, which means this is equilateral. Okay, 6, 7, 8. Nothing matches over here, which means we need the last type, which is a scalene triangle. 15, 15, 15. They're all equal, which means equilateral. Equi meaning the same and lateral meaning side. And then 5, 7, 8. None of these are the same, which means that this is going to be a scalene. And then, just to make sure we're absolutely comfortable with how we're classifying our triangles, if we look over here, we can now do it by basically everything, the side lengths and the angles both. So 45, 75, 60. What this means is, since all of the angle measures are different, that means all of the sides are going to be different, which means this is scalene. So when you're looking at scalene, not only are the sides all different, but also the angles are all different. Okay? Equilateral means that you have all the same sides, but just as it's worth mentioning, equilateral also means that you have two sides, and you will also have two angles that are congruent. Again, equal with a squiggle means congruent. Okay, let's see here. So everything here is different, which means this is scalene, the same way everything here is different and made it scalene. If you have a right angle, that is a right triangle, but specifically, we talked about this just now, 45, 45, two angles are congruent, which means that this is an isosceles triangle. And if you really want to be picky, this is an isosceles right triangle. But for once, the software actually isn't that technically proficient. So over here, 5, 7, 11, nothing matches, therefore it's scalene. 7, 7, 7, this is equilateral. Let's see here, 140, 40. This is also two things, because it is isosceles and it is obtuse. So technically this is an isosceles obtuse triangle, but again, the software is very lenient for you guys. This is a right triangle, and specifically 30, 60, 90 triangles. Remember these for goal 4. Just FYI, 30, 60, 90s are amazing. But specifically, this is a right triangle. All of the angles are different, so therefore this is a right Scalene Triangle. And for a soft introduction, this is a highlights reel of everything that we are going to be covering for Goal 3, which is all of the finer nuances of triangles. I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite chapters to cover, but it's also one of the longest, so keep an eye for it. Set yourself up. Pacing is important, small steps, and now we'll move on to the next video. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you in the next one.